The rosemary was still fragrant on my fingertips. I was in the middle of prepping a marinade for the lamb roast I planned to bring to dinner, my hands moving with the familiar, comforting rhythm of a recipe known by heart. My phone buzzed on the granite countertop, a sharp, intrusive sound in the quiet of my kitchen. I wiped my hands and picked it up. A text from my daughter-in-law, Isabel. "You're not invited to dinner. I don't want you here." That was it. 2 short, brutal sentences. No greeting, no explanation, just a digital execution sent at 4:17 p.m. on the very day I was supposed to arrive. I had paid for that dinner. I had covered the down payment on their house in the Denver suburbs, a house whose mountain view I had only seen twice. I paid the staggering hospital bills when their daughter Lily was born. I funded their honeymoon, their groceries, their Wi-Fi for the past 4 years. And now I wasn't wanted. My fingers moved with a strange, detached calm. I texted back 1 word. "Okay, then." I opened the black ledger I kept in my desk drawer. Every transaction was meticulously logged. $120 for a baby stroller, $5,000 for their wedding DJ, $20,500 for the deposit on their new home. Every gift, every support payment, 150 entries in total. I didn't scream, I didn't call, I didn't confront. I simply deleted the digital backup file, wiping the slate clean. Then I went completely silent. No more bank alerts, no more checking calls, no more help. They had mistaken my love for a lifeline. They had no idea they had just severed the rope themselves. The real poison, however, hadn't started with a text message. It had started 3 months earlier with a whisper I was never supposed to hear. It was a crisp spring evening. I'd driven across town to their new house to drop off a care package. Homemade soup, a few frozen meals, and diapers. Isabel answered the door with her phone pressed to her ear. "Yeah, she's here again," she muttered, her voice sharp with annoyance. The sound carried clear as a bell from the Bluetooth speaker on the entry table. I swear she just looks for excuses to show up. My heart seized. She wasn't even trying to hide it. She knew I could hear. When she finally turned to me, her smile was a thin, brittle thing. "Oh, hi, Catherine. That's so kind of you." Again. I handed her the bag, nodded silently, and walked back to my car. That was the first time I considered pulling back. But I didn't. Not yet. My son Leo had always been a gentle soul. He used to call me every weekend, his voice a warm counterpoint to my quiet house. But ever since Isabel, those calls had faded. The volume on our relationship slowly being turned down by another hand. The next week, I sent a payment for their car insurance. No reply. The next month, I offered to babysit. They said they already had plans with Isabel's mother. And now this dinner. The dinner that was supposed to be a celebration of the home I had made possible. I had offered to host, bought the groceries, arranged the catering. I thought I was part of their family. It turned out I was just the founder. I didn't cry after her text. I didn't feel anger. What I felt was a deep, chilling silence inside me. A silence that told me I had let this go on for too long. I had kept giving because I was scared of being forgotten, scared of being alone. But this wasn't love. It was a transaction, and it was time to close the account. I sat down at my computer. I paused the automatic rent top-up I had been sending them. I canceled the upcoming mortgage contribution. I changed the passwords to the shared family streaming services, the Amazon account. Everything. I didn't send an email. I didn't give a warning. I simply vanished from the support system they had grown too comfortable leaning on. 2 days passed in quiet bliss. Then the text started. "Hey, Catherine, did something happen with the rent check? Mom, Netflix isn't working. Did you change the password? Can you check the grocery card? It was declined." I said nothing. Silence is the loudest reply. On the fourth day, Leo called. I let it ring. He called again and again. 66 missed calls by the end of an anxious week. But still no apology? Not one question about how I was, just panic. That's when I knew for certain they didn't miss me. They missed my money. I wasn't finished. The digital receipts may have been deleted, but the paper copies in the black ledger remained. I drafted a formal legal letter itemizing every major payment as a temporary loan subject to recovery if not acknowledged as a gift in writing. It wasn't about revenge, it was about respect. I was done letting them treat me like a doormat. After a full week of my silence, a different kind of message finally came through. It was from Leo, alone. "Mom, please talk to me. What's going on? Isabel says you're mad because of a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding? The word was an insult. "You're not invited to dinner? I don't want you here?" How much clearer could a message be? Still, this was my son. The little boy who once promised to take care of me when he grew up, but that little boy was gone. This man had stood by while his wife sent that text. He hadn't stopped her. He hadn't defended me. He only called when the money ran out. I typed back one word. Why? He replied instantly. Why what? The fact that he didn't even understand the question told me everything I needed to know. I didn't bother to explain. That night, I opened a box I kept in my wardrobe. Inside were his childhood drawings, a photo of us at his college graduation, my face beaming, his arms wrapped around me like I was his whole world. Where had that boy gone? Maybe I had lost him the day I made his life too easy. The next morning, I received a long text from Isabel. "Catherine, I'm sorry if what I said came off as harsh. We're just trying to set boundaries now that we're in the house. We need space to build our family without interference." Interference? The word hit me like a slap. My support was generosity when they wanted it and interference when they didn't. I didn't reply. Instead, I printed the 6-page statement of every expense I had paid on their behalf. I placed it in a red folder, the same kind I used for household bills when Leo was young. I attached a simple, handwritten letter. "Over the last few years, I have supported you both financially out of love. I never asked for repayment. I only expected respect. That was taken from me. You are adults. You have your own home. This is me stepping back. Consider the attached records a ledger of lessons, not in money, but in how quickly love is discarded when taken for granted. I will no longer fund my own disrespect." I placed the red folder in their mailbox and drove away. By the time I reached home, my phone was buzzing with calls. I didn't pick up. For the first time in years, the silence in my home felt like peace. It felt like freedom. A week passed, then 2. I started going to an art class again. I took a trip to the mountains with old friends. I started seeing my niece who was in college nearby. We'd cook together, laughing over silly things. "You're glowing, Aunt Catherine," she said one day. I smiled. I stopped pretending I was welcome where I was merely tolerated. Then came Leo's birthday dinner, the one I wasn't invited to. But word had gotten around. One of Leo's oldest friends, Ben, had seen my guest list and called me. I told him the truth. Halfway through the party, as guests laughed in the backyard, another friend asked loudly, "Hey Leo, is your mom coming later?" Isabel tensed. Leo shifted uncomfortably. She couldn't make it. Ben, standing nearby, spoke up, his voice carrying across the yard. No, she wasn't invited. The laughter died. A ripple of murmurs went through the crowd. A few guests quietly got up and left. One woman returned the gift she had brought. By the end of the night, only a handful of people remained. Leo left a voicemail that night, his voice strained. "Mom, I don't know what's happening. People are turning on us. Isabel's crying. Can we just talk? I deleted it. A few days later, a handwritten letter arrived from him. Mom, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of this. I don't know when I stopped seeing you as a person and started seeing you as just help. I was too afraid to disappoint Isabel, and I let her say things I should have stood up against. I want to try again. Not with money, just with me, your son. If there's still a chance. He had written by hand. That was the boy I remembered, the one who scribbled, "I love you, Mom," on crooked birthday cards. I missed that boy, but I didn't know the man he had become. I needed time. It started with a knock. The more I tried to keep peace with her, the more I lost pieces of myself and of you. He paused. Mom, I know I let things go too far. I know I let her disrespect you, but you've always been the only person who truly had my back, and I miss you. There it was, the little boy in a grown man's body. You let me become invisible in your life, Leo, I said, my voice soft but firm. I know, he whispered. And now that she's gone, you remember me? His eyes filled with tears. That hurts. The baby started to fuss. I reached out and he handed her to me. She settled into my arms like she belonged there. Maybe it wasn't about punishing him anymore. Maybe it was about letting him earn his way back. That night, after he left, I stood by the window and stared at the moon. This new version of me had learned about boundaries, and boundaries don't bend just because someone remembers how to say they're sorry. A few days later, a text came from Isabel. David's been staying with you. Good luck. Let's see how long you enjoy that. No question about the baby, just venom. I realized she wasn't upset because Leo had left her. She was upset because I wasn't begging to be let back in. She had lost control. I wasn't the desperate mother-in-law anymore. I was the one who set the limit. And for the first time, she was the one on the outside. I didn't reply. Instead, I took a screenshot. Leo returned a few days later, this time with a small box. I found this when Isabel left, he said. Inside were printed copies of texts and emails between Isabel and her sister. I can't stand that woman. She acts like we owe her something. If Catherine thinks she can control our lives because she paid a few bills, she's dumber than she looks. Once the house is paid off, we won't need her anymore anyway. My breath caught. I looked at Leo, his eyes heavy with the weight of his own blindness. I had no idea, he whispered. I closed the box. The pain was sharp, but it was clarifying. This was never about one dinner. This was a long, slow campaign of erasure, and I had finally stopped it. Mom, he said, pausing at the door. I know I have a long way to go, but I'm here now, and I'm staying. I believed him, but belief and trust are different things. Trust takes time, and this time I wouldn't give it away freely. He had to earn it, just as I had earned my peace. The weeks that followed were quiet, tentative. He came by with Lily. He didn't ask for money or help, only for time. He talked. I listened. He started seeing a therapist. He got a second job on weekends to make ends meet. He was trying. One morning he came over looking nervous. I need your advice, he said. Isabel filed for partial custody. She wants weekends, the house, and control of the joint account. She was trying to rattle him. I stood up, walked to my filing cabinet, and pulled out a business card. Call this lawyer, I said. She's sharp, fair, and not afraid of people like Isabel. Are you sure? I'm not paying for the case, Leo, I said firmly, but I will help you find the right tools to fight your own battles. He looked at me, and for the first time, there was no expectation in his eyes, only a deep, quiet gratitude. Thank you, he said. I'll handle the rest. He did. He won joint custody. The judge ruled against Isabel's financial demands. In the weeks that followed, she became a ghost in their lives, canceling visits, missing calls. She had wanted control, not responsibility. One night, while tucking Lily into bed in the guest room, she whispered, "Grandma, sing the song." I smiled and started humming the same lullaby I used to sing to Leo. Her tiny eyes fluttered shut. In that moment, I realized this story wasn't about loss. It was about legacy. It was about the strength to draw a line in the sand and the patience to see who would cross it with grace. It was about showing the next generation what love truly looks like: firm, gentle, honest, and always, always earned. It wasn't about being a provider who enabled weakness, but a parent who fostered strength, even if the lesson came late.